Chicago Teachers Union members passed out flyers to parents demanding that Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Democratic majority in Springfield fully fund Chicago public schools.
Now, with a single piece of legislation, the state of Illinois has pushed the city closer to fiscal collapse.
Our team coverage continues right now. NBC5 investigates how a military deployment would unfold in Chicago and the question what it would look like, especially with so much opposition.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day, y'all, twice a day. Now, y'all, we have to talk about your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Y'all, you know, right now, this is what seems to me, from an outside looking in, from an outsider's perspective, it seems like this is the moment of truth for the city of Chicago. Chicagoans, y'all are facing a historic budget shortfall in many different directions. We're going to take a look at that today. Your schools are not funded. Your transportation's not funded. Your pensions are having problems being funded. All the while, your illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor found what, $800 million to give to people who are in the country without permission. Now, the good things that are happening, the murder rate in Chicago does seem to be falling, if you trust the official statistics. Is that something that your illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor did? Is that like due to his policies? Probably not, because the murder rate across the country is falling after a spike during the COVID and immediately after COVID, but it's coming down, and that's good. But the issue is the same disastrous policies, the same progressive ideology that got Chicago into this place in the first place. Your illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor is like the poster child for the continuation of this. And he thinks he's doing a good job, apparently. I don't know if it's just political speak, or if he really if he's, getting high on his own supply, of sub 10% potency powder. You know what I'm saying? But he seems to think he's doing a good job. And all of this is culminating in the president saying he's going to send the National Guard into Chicago to clean it up. So y'all, in this video, we're going to take a look at the challenges facing Chicago, including tremendous budget shortfalls. And of course, President Donald Trump saying he's sending in that National Guard to clean it up. And we'll try to draw some conclusions as to what we think is going to happen. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement. Now, to give you a sense for just how bad things are, take a look at this City Journal article. It says Chicago is on the verge of fiscal collapse. A new Illinois law would put the Windy City's already underfunded pensions on even shakier ground. It says Chicago's finances were already on life support. Now, with a single piece of legislation, the state of Illinois has pushed the city closer to fiscal collapse and put every American taxpayer at risk of footing the bill. On August 1st, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a bill that ranks among the most financially reckless in Illinois history. It includes pension sweeteners for Chicago police and fire employees hired after 2011. Experts estimate it creates $11 billion in new liabilities and drops the funded ratio of Chicago police and fire pensions to just 18%. Y'all, this is part of the key. Listen up. This means that they have just 18 cents on hand for every dollar owed. Actuaries, these are the number crunchers. Number crunchers consider funding ratios below 40% as being at the point of no return. So they're at less than half of the point of no return. No American city has a worse public pension problem than Chicago. It carries more pension debt than 43 U.S. states and is home to 7 of the worst funded local pension systems in the nation. As a result, no other big city burns a larger chunk of its budget, around 40%, on debt and pensions every year. Okay, y'all, so that's bleak, right? But at least Chicago is taking care of and educating its children, right? So that they can raise up the next generation that can hopefully help them get out of this crisis, right? At least they're funding the teachers, right?
As kids arrive at Fort Dearborn Elementary this morning, Chicago Teachers Union members passed out flyers to parents demanding that Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Democratic majority in Springfield fully fund Chicago public schools. It's been the union's rallying cry for months, despite getting a no from the governor yesterday.
All of the schools in the city of Chicago are owed $1.6 billion.
While the number may be disputed, CTU and Mayor Brandon Johnson have repeatedly blamed the state for the school district's financial struggles, almost daily reminding people that Springfield is not fully funding schools.
So a significant portion of CPS's budget comes from something called the evidence-based funding formula, which is a portion of what the state provides CPS and every district across the state.
Under the 2017 evidence-based funding formula law, it gave the state 10 years to fully fund every school district in Illinois. CTU has been demanding the money now, but yesterday Governor Pritzker made it clear that is not going to happen.
We don't have those resources today. And we're not going to see the resources from the federal government level either.
CTU refuses to take no for an answer.
How dare a governor say he can't find money when my coworkers find it within their own budgets to give students what they need?
Civic Federation President Joe Ferguson says the state cannot afford it.
The state would have to come up with billions of dollars because it would have to fund the entire state at the same level, all of the districts in the state.
The lack of additional state funds will not have an impact on the current CPS proposed budget, but it may next year. And while Mayor Johnson has been quite vocal about the need for more state dollars, today he offered a more conciliatory tone.
It's about all of us working together to ensure that no child has to go to a school that is not properly resourced and supported.
A week from today, the Chicago School Board will be voting on a balanced budget. As of now, there are likely not enough votes for it to pass.
Okay. So they're not funding the teachers, so they don't have the funding for their pensions. I'm going to spare y'all another news report, but they don't have funding for their transportation system either, where people are getting stabbed and shot and killed daily. Oh yeah, and by the way, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating. Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is really serious about cracking down on smoking on the Chicago transportation system where people are getting shot and killed. And y'all, to top it all off, President Donald Trump has says, look, I'm going to send in the National Guard. We're going to clean up Chicago. Now, I'm telling y'all, I don't know if that's the right solution. I am not one of these people that's just going to hop behind it because it sounds, I don't know. It seems to have been working well in D.C. so far, but I don't know if that's right for Chicago. So I'm not saying yay. I'm not saying nay. Okay. But I am presenting y'all with the conflict, with the struggle. President Donald Trump says that these troops are going in. And of course, Chicago, the leaders are pushing back. So what would that look like? How would it look if Donald Trump were to send in the National Guard to Chicago? Let's take a look.
Our team coverage continues right now. NBC5 investigates how a military deployment would unfold in Chicago and the question what it would look like, especially with so much opposition.
We've seen it happen in LA and in DC, but what would it look like here? Our investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy joining us now with some answers to those most nagging questions. Chuck?
Allison, Stephan, if President Trump federalized the National Guard in Chicago allegedly to combat crime, these boots on the ground here are likely to look similar to the military presence right now in Washington, D.C., and earlier this summer in Los Angeles. Perhaps L.A., the closest analogy to Chicago, where the California National Guard was deployed by Mr. Trump against strong opposition from state and city Democratic leaders there. But tonight, here as there, the troopers will come well prepared for an urban mission.
Ready?
This summer, Illinois National Guard units training in Marseilles at the sprawling Army National Guard facility southwest of Chicago. During training here a few weeks ago, they were rehearsing for future battlegrounds in unknown locales. But with President Trump putting Chicago in his sights, their deployment may be right in their own backyard. During the summer, they carried M4 rifles and trained with service-issued M17 pistols, the same weapons now being carried by National Guard troopers here in Washington, D.C., sent on patrol with live ammo for the first time in recent days. And in Washington, the Guard staffing is from numerous other states, from Ohio, and these soldiers from West Virginia, along with this contingent from South Carolina. Tonight, nearly 2,300 soldiers and airmen on duty in D.C. If the Pritzker administration can't figure out how to block the president's actions, the National Guard presence here is likely to be primarily troopers from Illinois. While Governor Pritzker tonight says it would be illegal and unconstitutional for President Trump to federalize the Illinois National Guard for counter-crime patrols in Chicago, the governor's recourse would be in front of a judge. That is where the Democratic California governor, Gavin Newsom, landed to challenge Trump's similar deployment order in L.A., but out there, the military came and went before Newsom won in court, and even now, that is on appeal.
So Trump says that there are people in Chicago asking him for him to send in the National Guard, and then the leaders of Chicago say, no, that's not true. Well, of course, we have Danielle Carter. I think Trump called her the beautiful African-American woman, Danielle Carter. So, we have Danielle Carter and then former Chicago Governor Blagojevich, who are both saying, hey, this actually might be a good thing. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
Yeah, Danielle, he's trying to do the Gavin Newsom here, doing like the Trump troll. But we had 27 people injured over the weekend in violent events. People I talked to who've lived in Chicago for decades are afraid. They're still afraid. But we're supposed to believe it's all getting a lot better. Your reaction?
We are not thinking about Pritzker or Brandon Johnson. We just had 4 mass shootings in the span of 1 month. 14 people got shot and 4 dead. We just had senior citizens laying shot, bleeding in the streets. And let's not forget the gentleman who we saw, who was on Facebook Live, get robbed and shot while he was sitting in his car. So we don't care about anything these people are saying. Tell Brandon Johnson and Pritzker, if Chicago is so safe with Brandon Johnson especially, let's leave his 150 police detail. Fire them and walk around with no police detail. And Pritzker, no security. Come in my community, the south side of Chicago. Come over there and let's see you say how safe it is. You can't even sit in your car long. If you sit in your car, you know that it's a chance you're going to get carjacked, robbed, or shot. So tell him to come around in my neck of the woods and talk that.
Yeah, Governor, I was driving through the South Side about 3 weeks ago or so. To see a couple of people in the area, so I decided to drive around with a couple friends, and it was pretty gnarly, I gotta say. I mean, I love Chicago; it's an amazing place. I've spent a lot of time near the University of Chicago over the years, but the idea that this is like some nirvana of safety now is ludicrous. I mean, you can feel it. And you can feel the tension in the people there. It doesn't mean, it's terrible all the time, 24/7, no. But they want to sell this idea that if they just had more federal money, that things would be better. That's what they demanded today. Johnson and Pritzker want $800 million, I believe that's what they said, restored to Illinois and Chicago.
Well, Chicago's a tale of two cities because the south side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago are very different places from the Streeterville neighborhood or the Gold Coast neighborhood where Pritzker lives. In fact, life expectancy in the neighborhood Pritzker lives in is 91 years. But in Englewood, just a 20-minute drive away, the life expectancy on the south side in Englewood is 61 years. Police officers are outnumbered by nearly 10-1, gangbangers to police officers. 12,000 police officers, more than 100,000 gangbangers. And those communities that are underserved with police presence are the ones who are facing these high crime rates. And here again, this isn't a black and white issue. It's really a moral issue. And when I was a governor back in 2008, I actually talked about sending the National Guard to help Mayor Daley and sending state resources to help Mayor Daley fight crime in those high crime neighborhoods. The great irony is, and this is sort of what Malcolm X says about white liberals, they pretend to be your friend. They're the fox who sees the lamb, but it's the fox who eats the lamb. And in Pritzker's case, I think that lamb chop that Malcolm X is talking about will probably not last very long in JB's plate.
So anyway, y'all, I want y'all to let me know, what do y'all think is going to happen? Do you think the National Guard goes in? Do you think they clean up the city? Do you think it gives the city a boost? Do you think that Donald Trump maybe knew something that the Chicago leaders didn't know? He sends in the National Guard. People feel safe. Commerce starts to move again. People start to come out again. The money starts circulating again. And then, oh, shoot. Oh, okay. Well, we have more industry. We have more movement. We have more stuff happening. And we making more taxes, blah, blah, blah. Or do you think National Guard goes in, it's a disaster, Chicago falls off of they're already falling off the cliff. Like, or what do you think happens? Do you think Trump backs down and says, no, I wasn't really gonna send the National Guard? Made you look. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. But before you do, please hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. For my people with a retirement, Brandon Johnson, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor. Your people elect people like him. Are you protecting your money? He wants to give it to people who don't even have permission to be in the country. Yo, come on. If you don't live in Chicago, what do you think his people, the Democrats, gonna do when they get back in power? And they're gonna get back in power at some point. You better protect your money, y'all. Go to Paralegal, PARALEGOLD.com. Put in your information so you can download our free report on how you can protect your precious nest egg with gold. And then speak to my people at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Y'all, want to thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for all the support. Thank y'all for liking. Thank y'all for loving. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.